London, 1872.
I have entered into the service of a new gentleman. It would seem he is a gambling man. Hello, Internet. I'm Firebolt.
And I'm the Orbiter.
And...
Oh, I'm orbiting, look. I've been right at home.
We are playing 80 Days. Slightly weird introduction there, and it should come up soon on the screen after the credits are finished. But this is basically based on the Jules Verne book, 80 Days Around the World. There you go, 80 days. And you have to try and make it around the world in 80 days with limited money.
Without doing a spoiler, does it do what the book does at the end? When you think you've lost. Have you read the book?
No, but it depends what journey you take.
Okay, right.
Anyway, begin.
At the very beginning.
I am going to play Passepartout, that is the main character, and the Orbiter is going to do the voices of everyone else because I imagine he'll do funnier accents than me.
Day 1, 7 o'clock p.m. I can't do the Big Brother guy.
Don't do that. It doesn't matter.
Sorry.
My master returned home from the Reform Club with a strange gleam in his eye. Passepartout, no, you need to do fog.
That went well.
An upper...
Yeah, I was just getting ready to do it and you carried on.
My master... We'll do that again and cut out that.
Okay.
You better fucking cut that out. My master returned home from the Reform Club with a strange gleam in his eye.
Passepartout,
said he.
We are going around the world. Pack an altimeter and my evening jacket. There is not a moment to waste.
Right, so now we have £4,000, which is worth...
Ooh, Paris.
It's worth like 100,000 or something nowadays, but you know, inflation, all that. Anyway, we need to pack things quickly before the Paris thing leaves.
Quick.
Evening jacket, that's useful for getting upper class journeys negotiated.
The time's running.
We'll get a shipping timetable and...
You actually miss it if you don't do it in time.
Wax cylinder, because that's valuable in Paris. That seems fine. Right, so now...
How would you know this if you hadn't played it before?
Because it just said there that it's valuable in Paris.
Alright, okay.
You twat basket. Anyway, and I have played this... I have played this multiple times, far too much, so I will be aware of some of the story.
Our completed Englishman's wardrobe. We
just got the shipping timetable, which is why all those routes appeared, and the black route is the last route that I took. Anyway,
cool. Can we go to Amsterdam, get stone?
We're not going to Cambridge because that's the wrong way, and the time actually stops now because we took too long. Anyway, we should go to Paris because that's the fastest route to begin with.
Okay.
Fighting now, right? So we just get a carriage.
Is that supposed to be a horse?
Well, it's
made out of Swiss cheese.
It's meant to be mechanical because it's sort of a sort of
steampunk
steampunk, but a sort of hyper mechanical world. Like you get loads of automatons around, despite the fact that it's the 1800s. Anyway, I am playing this. We leapt aboard the 825 from Charing Cross as the final whistle shrieked its warning. Our journey had begun. Anyway, so we get to talk on the train to Jules Verne himself. Getting part of the conversation about Paris. Right, which way are we wanting to go? I don't imagine you can get to Bloemfontein from Paris.
Well, according to that route thing that you just showed, the only route out of it was London and Amsterdam on the map.
You figure out other routes.
Oh, right, okay.
Those aren't the only routes.
Okay.
Otherwise, Copenhagen is absolutely isolated by the looks of that. Anyway, he's asking what our journey's about. Shall we say trouble or wager?
It's a wager, I believe, in the book.
But it is also trouble in the book.
Is it? I can't remember that much. It's been a long time.
We're just trying to find different journeys right now. Nice to Luxor. Goodbye. He was useless.
Luxor, is that not in Egypt?
Yeah. So we learned there that we could get from Paris to Nice on a train.
Cool.
The Amphitrite Express rattled along the narrow gauge rails to Dover. This is going brilliantly. Where its fins extended and it plunged directly into the channel.
Splash!
Monsieur Fogg made no remark as the dark water pressed against our windows. I thought it was so marvellous at the time, but how many marvels were still to come? Suddenly, from the corridor, I heard a cry. Should we investigate? Spirit of adventure.
Yeah, let's investigate.
I opened the door to investigate. Monsieur Fogg nodded just a fraction, evidently approving. though not feeling the need to undertake any similar action himself. In the corridor outside our compartment, I found a young man with a dapper haircut and brightly coloured waistcoat pacing about in a state of some alarm. Should we try and assist him?
A young man with a dapper haircut, as long as it won't be misconstrued.
It's not in that way. That's good. Can I assist you, monsieur? I inquired, somewhat puzzled by his state of agitation.
You're not a thief, are you?
The man retorted sharply. How should we reply? I feel like we should be taken aback because we are the most unimpeachable valet there is. Certainly.
How are we a valet? I thought we were travelling.
We're his manservant. Phileas Fogg's manservant.
Are we? Oh,
Yeah.
I thought we were him, sorry.
Certainly not, monsieur. I should be doing that in a French accent, but I can't do a French accent that doesn't offend French people.
monsieur.
I'll just do it in my voice. Certainly not, monsieur. Go.
No? Well, I can't say I'm surprised. I would have noticed if you had taken it, I'm sure.
The man turned away and began looking around once more, quite hopelessly. You have lost something?
Yeah, a long time ago. My silver-plated cigarette case!
The man moaned.
It's worth a reasonable amount of money, certainly, but what I can't understand is how it disappeared. I was in my compartment, I took out a cigarette and put the case on the table, and the next moment, it was gone!
Should we try and inquire or just say, be on your way now?
Have you looked on the floor? Do you take me for an Oh no, I'm going into French because it's... Do you take me for an imbecile? Of course I have.
And you were quite alone?
As usual. Yes, well, except for the lady. But she can hardly have just walked off with it, can she?
And what lady was that, monsieur? I asked, beginning to think...
Damn it all, I don't know. Oh, sorry.
I asked, beginning to think that this man was indeed an imbecile after all.
Damn it all, I don't know.
He exclaimed.
The young lady sharing the compartment. She went off a few minutes ago. Did you help her at all?
Is she coming back? I asked.
I have no idea. I'm not her chaperone.
He looked at me with a pitiful expression.
I'm engaged. Perhaps you should look for her.
No, that's me.
Oh, sorry.
You don't get this at all. Perhaps you should look for her.
Oh, yeah, sorry. No, I do now. I can't go chasing after ladies on trains.
The man replied almost sullenly.
Oh, sorry, that wasn't very sullen, was it? If my fiancé came to hear of it, then that would be that. No, I think I'm quite done in.
Very well, I will look. I feel like we're committing too much, but yeah.
Committing too much?
Yeah.
Okay.
The young man brightened a little.
Would you? That would be awfully decent of you. Though I'm not sure how you'd know her when you saw her, of course.
He chewed his whiskers for a moment.
How'd you do that? Perhaps you'll be able to smell the guilt on her. They say that happens.
I looked in a few nearby compartments. We're not going to go too far. But while I found several passengers and some laden amongst them, none had the aspect or manner which suggested a thief. After a while I gave up because I can't be bothered with this anymore, and returned to my master. Monsieur Fogg looked up briefly, as though to ascertain that the status quo of master and man had been restored, before disappearing into the folds of his paper once more.
So that was just all a little side bit that we didn't really need to do.
There is like loads of little side bits that you can pursue further.
All right, okay.
I have tried to pursue this further, but it's really finicky in the timing.
Right, okay.
As we splashed up onto the rails at Calais and closed the remaining miles to Paris Gare du Nord quickly. As we crossed the bustling concourse towards the exit, I noticed the young man from the train once more. Should we avoid him?
I don't know.
We'll see what this is all about.
Okay.
He seemed no calmer than before and most eager to speak when I caught his eye. Did you find your cigarette case, monsieur? I asked. The man shook his head, but then as I nodded and began to turn away, he caught my arm, voice dropping to a whisper.
But wait a moment. I must tell someone. I did find something most odd.
That's quite unsettling. Odd how? I asked, intrigued.
Odd indeed.
He replied, and with that he reached inside his jacket and pulled out a most curious item, no less than a long-stemmed jet black rose.
What do you make of it?
He whispered.
I really want to say it was a fine specimen just because... But no, you do whatever you think. You're the guy.
We shall go for... It was a fine specimen. It was freshly cut, the petals are rich black with an inky luster, a most curious artifact. Suddenly, an aging porter guiding a luggage automaton rounded on us.
So it's true.
He's French.
So it's true.
He blurted.
She's here.
Who? I whirled on him. Who? Sorry. Jesus, I'm bad at this.
Take off the papers. Look.
He took a copy from the nearby rack and shook it open. London police baffled as Black Rose thief strikes again.
Dum, dum, dum.
But who is this Black Rose, I demanded.
That's exactly the mystery.
Replied the porter cheerfully.
No one knows. Some say she's a pauper, a swift one, and others say she's a bored aristocrat. Either way, she's the most successful jewel thief there is.
I would just like to apologise now to anyone from any of the countries that any of these characters are from.
I wasn't much worse than Disney French.
No. Anyway.
I'm doing the Beauty and the Beast thing.
A thief on our train. I clutched her suitcase more tightly, but the young man at my side did not seem nearly so distressed. Do you
realise what this means?
He exclaimed.
I've been robbed by a celebrated person. That's wonderful news. Gertrude will be ecstatic.
Almost lovingly, he slipped the Black Rose back into his jacket before skipping away into the crowd.
I'm sensing a new style of video coming up in the near future. We should do dual audiobook stuff. Go on, Karen.
Anyway, this has to go in 3 parts. These might be long episodes.
Oh yeah, it's 80 days, isn't it?
Yeah. And we're only on day 2. Anyway, quickly look at the market because we can sell our wax cylinder here for a fair amount of money. Do you reckon we are heading to Berlin?
I have no idea.
Right. I'm going to quickly explore the place because that pauses it for a little while whilst you make a decision.
Yeah.
We have a few options for routes around here. That's the Orient Express.
What have we got to try to achieve?
We've got to go east to west to get back to London. So travelling overnight's best. You want long journeys because otherwise you have to stop overnight to sleep.
Yeah.
So there's 2 main long journeys across Asia.
Yeah.
Which is going through the Suez Canal to Bombay and going across the Trans-Siberian Railway.
But are there activities we need to achieve on the journey, or do we just try and make our way around?
We're just trying to make our way around with money. That would be good too.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, the Exposition Universelle sprawled over the grounds of the purpose-built Palais du Champ de Mars. Hot air balloons sailed gently across the sky, and the powdery light of Yablokov candles gleamed invitingly. So, this guy's French, our main character. So, he was actually in the siege of Paris, because recently there was a Franco-Prussian war.
Okay.
So, we'll say we suppressed our memories of the siege and visited the exposition. Where do we want to go first?
I've kind of been down the Avenue of Nations. Does the airship hangar take us on somewhere else? Do we get on an airship?
We'll see. Do you want to go there?
Yeah, go on then.
I went west towards the airship hangar, past a booth with a husband and wife pair selling panoramic hot air balloon rides to eager tourists. I inquired as to their hourly rate.
That's not going to take us anywhere, is it? A panoramic balloon ride?
No.
But there might be other airships that could take us somewhere.
Inquired as to their hourly rate, wondering if perhaps a balloon could be encouraged to go a little way east as well and contribute to our great journey.
£80 for a half-hour
He's
flight.
French.
Yeah, but £80 for a half-hour flight.
The man responded. I gaped.
You're supposed to be French.
Yeah, well, I'm terrible. I gaped. That is robbery.
You gaped. Sorry.
The man shrugged.
We are the only balloonists here today. Are you willing to miss out on the experience of a flight over Paris?
I most assuredly was, and told him as much. The man nodded and moved on to the next punter with great swiftness. It's probably not worth pursuing that further, so we'll return back to the main hub of the exposition.
Okay.
Do you want to go down the Avenue of Nations?
Yeah, Avenue of Nations after a nice gape.
I took a stroll down the Avenue of Nations, lined with buildings in the styles of nations around the world and manned by foreign delegates in national dress. Okay, so although the newly formed German Empire was a conspicuous absentee, do you want that?
Absolutely, why not?
In the city it had so recently conquered. So do we want to look at the Zulu delegation or the Austro-Hungarian delegation? I'm probably not heading down to Africa because we're quite north.
Yeah.
So Austro-Hungarian delegation was being harangued by an artificer who looked to me like a farm boy from Provence. Artificers are like a guild of inventors.
Okay.
They do invent a fair amount of travelling stuff, so they're useful to talk to. The artificer was pointing at one of the soldiers guarding the doorway and shouting in terrible German,
Verboten! Verboten! I was hoping that was going to be more terrible, actually. Maybe I should try to be terrible in future.
"What is the matter here?" I asked the artificer, and he rounded on me.
These Austro-Hungarians...
He raged in a peasant-accented French.
How dare they?
"What do they dare?" the artificer pointed.
That!
The soldier by the stand moved suddenly with a mechanical judder, and I realised that he was no man at all, but rather an automaton with an enamel-painted uniform and putrid face. The artificer cursed.
These Austro-Hungarians have brought their automata soldiers to Paris, even though war machines are expressly forbidden by the guild. Who knows what danger they might represent?
I turned away hurriedly. Crowds of tourists jostled and heaped past, their eyes filled with wonder. Do we want to have a look at the Artificers Guild quickly?
Why not?
I headed towards the red and purple tent of the Artificers Guild, draped with banners emblazoned with a copper lily sigil.
Ooh. Can we go and see the automaton orchestra?
Sure. A steam-powered automaton orchestra played gleaming brass instruments, while a mechanical sommelier popped the cork from a champagne bottle and poured out bubbling over glasses for passing tourists. One of the artificers...
I've got to see what having his hands deep inside a human-shaped automaton's about.
Okay. Rummaging through its clockwork... had his hands deep inside the human-shaped automaton, rummaging through its clockwork innards. He took out a piece of engraved glass and peered at it with a jeweler's loupe.
Dashed thing.
He cursed in upper-class English tones and then looked up.
Hello.
Jesus fucking Christ. I pointed at the shard. What is that?
That hasn't been built yet, surely. Oh, sorry. It's the control glass of my automaton, or it would be, if it worked. This one is meant to be a cook, but can't even fry a chip.
How does the glass work?
It's complicated. Light scatters and bends and... Never mind, in this case it doesn't work. I need a Persian engraver. The best work is done in Tehran, you know.
I don't think he's going to help us travel, so just wish him luck and say goodbye. I wished him luck and returned to the centre of the exposition, ears ringing with bombastic tunes of a steam orchestra. My feet were tiring and the hour was growing late. I returned to Monsieur Fogg, who was eating a meal of plain boiled beef, anglaise.
Did you enjoy the exposition?
My master inquired diffidently, as though I had been out visiting an aged great-aunt.
Sorry, that wasn't very diffident.
Rather than witnessing all the wonders that the modern world had to offer. Will we travel by airship, do you suppose?
I kind of want to.
I asked.
I think it highly likely. They are expensive, but extremely fast.
I dreamed that night of mechanical wonders and automatons with beautifully enamelled faces, knowing little of the strange inventions and stranger peoples I would soon encounter in my journey around the world.
This is what happened.
Anyway, we need to figure out where we're going next.
Yeah.
Do we want to go the Russia route or the India route?
Where are we now?
We're in Paris.
Still? Jesus. The Russia route or the India route?
I think... Let's go Russia.
Okay.
I feel like Russia.
Okay. You're not going to invade, are you?
Which means we should probably buy the wine so that we can sell it in Berlin on our way. Anyway, we need to stay in a hotel the night. We took a hotel for the night.
We will be comfortable here.
Monsieur Fogg remarked.
But travelling overnight will often be more efficient.
So we must board the longest journeys available.
Perhaps.
He replied. Still, the sounds of the Hotel Ritz were most enjoyable. This train doesn't leave for a while. I'd say we might be able to convince it to leave. Negotiate this, and at no charge, because we have a full English gentleman's outfit, we can get it to leave at 6. So we embark on the Orient Express to Munich, because we're trying to go to Berlin to sell some wine, and then we'll make our way over to Moscow. Does that sound like a plan?
Fascinating. Yes, why not?
Just a quick hop on the Orient Express. We boarded the Orient Express at 18:25 from Gare de Paris Est. The train was extremely fast.
Yeah, that'll do.
And would sweep us across the whole of Europe, all the way through the Austro-Hungarian Empire to Istanbul.
Avoiding archdukes.
I mean, we're just going to Munich, mate, but yeah. A last long whistle blew and we began our journey east. Let's have a look at the news. There we go. Copenhagen bomb threats continue. We might not want to go that way then.
Perhaps not. Oh, we're going through Vienna.
No, we're not.
Well, not
we're stopping
yet.
in Munich.
Yeah, okay.
My master wished to be undisturbed, so as we left Paris, I left him and went to explore the train. There was a delightful dining car and an observation desk formed by the replacement of an entire compartment with an open glass cube. Where should we go? Dining car?
Yeah.
I attended the dining car and found a few groups of people talking quietly. I sat with a young composer.
Well, let's join a pair of Parisian ladies.
I joined a pair of young Parisian ladies who were toasting their adventure away from France. They were going to Vienna to hear a concert by the great steam orchestra there.
I only hope we will be allowed to leave.
Jesus fucking Christ.
That's not what she said.
Because of your political situation? I asked. The girl whose name I learned was Isabelle Poitier nodded.
Papa says the Emperor is spoiling for war.
And her friend agreed.
Remember Belgrade.
The mood fell somber. I finished my cognac and bid them good night. And returned to Monsieur Fogg, who, to my surprise, looked up from his paper at me.
What did you learn?
He inquired. I told him of the rumblings of war from Vienna, but he seemed indifferent.
I do not think the war will break out by the day after tomorrow, so I think we will be safe.
I had nothing more to say. We arrived in Munich a few hours later.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, these might be very long episodes, sorry.
Yeah, there's not going to be room to cut much out, is there?
No. Stay at the hotel tonight. Hopefully we'll speed up a bit. The Franco-Prussian War had concluded but a year previously, thus my French accent was a disadvantage.
Oh, can I ditch it then?
I'm the guy.
Oh, right, okay.
During our short time in Munich, the concierge of our hotel was most suspicious when I approached the desk.
I'm worried about my German accent.
Hopefully you won't have to do it for more long. Sorry. I'm stumbling with words today. I did not care for politics. Myself, what was the enmity of... enmity of nations to me. Still, in order to avoid any untowardness, I...
Yeah, spoke as little as possible.
affected a Viennese accent, which I shall do.
What's that?
Austrian.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
For the duration of our stay. Monsieur Fogg inquired if I had developed a head cold, but otherwise refrained from comment as I rolled several consonants in the back of my throat as practice. Anyway, we're going to explore Munich a bit. I have now to affect a Viennese accent if we talk to anyone.
Effect.
There was little daylight in Munich. The sky was shrouded in steam and oil fumes from the tractors and hydraulic excavators in the streets. A place of industry, then, whose citizens wore dark cloaks to protect their finery from the soot. I brushed a few specks of dirt from my collar, absent-mindedly, far more intrigued by the gleaming machines remaking the city skyline. Rumour had it that this work was the doing of the Bavarian king. Shut the fuck up.
Baboon.
Who had become obsessed with steam power.
As you do.
And was spending an exorbitant sum on the imported machinery and engineering works. The Kingdom of Bavaria had recently joined the German Empire. It appeared that the king suddenly had much more time on his aristocratic hands. Well, what matter the whims of aristocrats? The whims of gentlemen were, in my estimation, far more dangerous, as our journey no doubt proved. Can we go anywhere? We're going to Berlin because we've got some wine that we need to sell.
Cool. Is that to make sure we've got enough money to continue our journeys?
It just helps because that's like 2,000 right in the bag.
All right, okay. Expensive French wine of a classy variety, no doubt.
I know it only costs like 43 quid anyway. So. We crossed from Munich to Berlin in a patched up steam carriage. The smoke pumped out of the back through a tail iron chimney.
That's tall.
Tall, fucking hell. Leaving a soot smudged wake,
Soot.
which do you mind? Which trailed behind us like a flag.
Carry on. Sorry, I'll shut up now,
Punch you in a
maybe.
second. Our driver Christoph could not stop talking of his father, this is my revenge, who was an engine driver who'd just been promoted.
Oh, shit.
You have to do a German accent now.
The Kaiser has merged all the state railways into the Reich rail.
Tone it down a bit.
Into the Reich railway.
He told us proudly.
We have the most efficient system in all of Europe.
It sounds like an excellent option, I declared.
It's got to be it, surely.
Christoph grinned.
Oh, it is. Only be sure to have your ticket. They have a little prison cell in the train station for those who try to jump aboard. What is that? Don't know. Remember, in Berlin, at least the train guard is a direct servant of their country. There's no point trying, really.
Anyway.
Are we going through India? Because I'm going to be doing Welsh.
No. We're going through Russia. I think that's slightly easier.
I think I might go get
the
a vodka.
newspaper's just saying that we're going around the world reporting on us.
Ah.
We were on the outskirts of Berlin when a shadow fell over the steam carriage. Christoph blanched, and crossed himself, taking his hands from the wheel. I looked up, expecting rain, but the sight that greeted me was almost defied description. An Ottoman Gaiet-class airship hung directly above the steam carriage, low enough that I could see a black pirate flag waving.
You like your pirate.
Proudly from the stern of the gondola, and the name Canavar picked out in gilt letters on the prow. We were under attack. 2 mechanical claws were dropped off the side of the gondola. Their pincers gleamed threateningly. "Drive, Christoph," I shouted urgently, and Christoph opened the steam valve as far as it would go. Our lightly loaded car leapt forward, outrunning and swerving out of reach of the clawed arm. We did not slow until reaching the cover of the trees, when Christoph braked hard and exhaled deeply.
Which one are we doing?
"What was that?" I demanded.
Oh.
He shuddered.
Pirates! The dread Captain Cassim, if I am not mistaken.
I could not thank him enough. He had no doubt saved all of our necks. We steadied our nerves and then proceeded at a calmer pace into Berlin, grateful for the city once it swallowed us up. Interesting description now.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have to stay the night because it's quite late.
I thought we were better off travelling overnight.
Well, we can't if there's no trains going
right, okay.
or whatever it is. We stayed for the night in the Hotel Adlon on Unter den Linden, the main boulevard in the central Mitte district. From the window, the Brandenburg Gate was lit by upturned gas lamps. I went for a late night stroll along the avenue past groups of people drinking at low tables. I sat down beside a pair of ladies who were each trying to outdrink the other.
Again.
Very German. I kept score for them. As they jug by jug, they slid slowly underneath the outdoor table.
Do you think they were big jugs?
And onto... Jesus Christ. Onto the cobblestones beneath. The evening was riotous, and I learned from my new friends, Adele and Claudia, that some buyers will pay well for evening jackets from Warsaw.
Is that what
Can
they call
you
them?
cut down on the Harvey Weinstein here?
Sorry.
Anyway, I'm going to skip the clock forward so that the market is open and we can sell our wine. Do you want to buy a Caribbean timetable? It might be useful at some point.
Okay.
Here we go. If we decide to go that route, just skip through the routes being here. Can speed it up a little. Here we go.
I thought, how the hell did we get there? But we're not.
Anyway, we should probably head straight to Warsaw.
Yeah.
No point in exploring.
Get on the road. Presumably, if anyone wants to play this, they'll get a lot more out of each stop if they wish to.
Yeah. The newly amalgamated German Reich Railways made a political point of their efficiency to quiet any nationalist rumblings. The departures left at the moment they claimed, not a second before and not a second after.
Quite right.
I am not accustomed to such precision, and so found myself on the platform as the train doors slid shut.
Oh.
Monsieur Fogg glanced up from inside the carriage and saw me hopping up and down and waving my hands. I fancy he looked quite startled. One does not expect one's gentleman to stay behind to wave one off.
And that's not innuendo.
The train pulled away rapidly, the newly standardized track gauges and refitted engines all allowing for much more efficient fuel consumption and greater average speed. I waited for the right moment and leapt onto the train, catching the rails between the end of one carriage and the next. A tunnel was fast approaching, so I flattened myself and waited.
How do you flatten yourself? Oh, you just lie down. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. The tunnel wall rocketed past, crashing noisily, inches from my back, and in the gloom I fancy I saw creatures, hunchmen, automata, who can say, but something working away in the dark.
It's going to be automata, isn't it, really?
Yeah, probably building more railway. Then, a moment later, we shot out of the tunnel, and I made my way inside the car. Found the barn settled by nerve, that's probably more likely.
Indeed.
With a glass of aniseed wine,
Ugh.
when I eventually returned to Monsieur Fogg, he merely acknowledged my presence with a nod and went back to reading. Will nothing unsettle this man?
Your character is now courageous.
Oof.
Is that because of the aniseed wine?
No, because we leapt onto a moving train.
Okay. It's genuine courage. It's not Dutch courage. Of course, we're in Germany, aren't we? So.
Anyway, read the newspaper. Mysterious sighting of rocket engineer near Zurich Cathedral. We're not going that way now, so too late. If you talk to people on various forms of transport, you can get ways forward.
Okay.
We arrived in good time, as expected, and disembarked into the windy streets of Warsaw.
Windy.
Nothing worth buying here, I don't think. Shall we plan? We probably can get to Minsk from here.
We did sell the wine, didn't we?
Yeah. So we'll have to just stay the day, because we can't travel anywhere. We walked the streets of Warsaw, feeling the air of a different continent all around. I wouldn't call it a different continent in Poland, but okay.
No, it will be after Brexit, but...
In less than 2 generations, the Tsars had made this little outpost all their own. I suppose it is sort of Russia at that time.
Yeah.
So it seems like a different continent. But there were signs of dissent on every corner, for on every building project in the city there were glued pamphlets declaring the Russians to be dogs, fiends and Philistines. We turned quickly back, fearing we might stumble into an actual riot. Our fears were probably unfounded, however, for all the printed material we saw no disturbances. It seemed all the revolutionary types had been rounded up and shot.
Yeah.
In fact, our hostelier, told us that the pamphlets themselves are produced by machines buried by the rebels during the Troubles. No one has yet found them to switch them off. Later that evening, I returned to my room in time to see someone leaving. I called to them.
Why would you think nothing of it?
You wouldn't. I called to them, but without turning, they began to run. "Stop, thief," I called, but the figure only disappeared. I returned to the room, but was relieved to find nothing from our belongings appeared to be missing. We had been lucky. This time, at least.
Well,
lucky
door.
We're not going to Stockholm, I don't think. We'll try and get to Minsk.
Okay.
Explore. We found a route to Minsk and to Moscow, indeed.
Does this thing take 80 days, or do you just have to get around the world?
You just have to get around the world, but it's usually around 80 days.
Yes, okay.
Or even over.
No.
Going out in the day, I encountered an incredible creature as tall as a house with wide swinging metal arms like a rampaging giant.
Is it a transformer?
I stared, gawping at the terrible machine stomped from foot to foot, slowly rotating, and then I saw that in its chest was a man using levers and switches to operate the colossal device. It was a gigantic walking exoskeleton.
He's walked into the set of Avatar, hasn't he?
I watched him work. He operated a small lever in each hand which seemed to articulate the metal creature's arms. It was all entirely mechanical but amplified his own movements and so looked organic.
Oh no, that's not Avatar.
He smashed a nearby wall and I jumped clear. I ran from it like a wild and crazed thing until I was thoroughly lost.
Your character is now suave. What, because he ran away from a robot? Not a robot, a machine thing.
If we pay 700 quid here,
we can
get
engage in
this.
thoroughly ungentlemanly behaviour.
No, it's thoroughly ungentlemanly behaviour that they're charging us so much to get it to leave.
Oh, right, okay. That's not the price.
We can either leave tomorrow or pay a bit to get it leave today.
Have we got enough money to go now?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we might need that money later. Too late now. Anyway, we're now on the Belarus Express to Moscow. We might be actually getting our journey going because this is going to take some time. We clambered aboard the train. Monsieur Fogg settled in a far corner like a dusty old uncle. And I went to sit next to him, ready to attend to his wishes. He had none, of course, but to be left alone with his thoughts, whatever they were, so he rode in silence. I'm going to converse so we can get away forward from Moscow. Good evening, man. Wait, I won't bother talking about this conversation. Anyway, we're trying to find out a way from Moscow. I think Tsaritsyn is in that direction towards the
And there was
eastern
me preparing
end
my
of
Russian
Russia.
accent to astound you.
Is there a route from Moscow to Tsaritsyn? Can reach aboard the freight train? Try Novorossiysk? I can't pronounce half of these names. Anyway, we found out a few things. That's the wrong way anyway. Oh well.
Have we gone the wrong way?
No, we just got the wrong route.
Up. Okay.
The red lines are
Yeah.
the way that we have gone. We arrived at Minsk after nightfall. We don't want to disembark here, so we'll say, and watched as people hurried from the train into the dark and cold streets. Monsieur Fogg held his teacup close and I huddled beneath a blanket. At least for tonight we were safe. Converse again to just get ways forward from Moscow. Greetings, mademoiselle.
Good evening.
Moscow to... this is useless conversation. Try get away to Odessa? I don't know where that is.
They've got some files there, I think.
Okay. This is a really useless conversation. I'm just going to stop. Oh, and you can sort of see there, Monsieur Fogg has health.
Ooh.
Which means if we're on quite rough journeys, we'll need to keep tending to his needs.
Okay.
and try and keep that as high as possible. If you can hear that, which you probably can, just outside has begun some construction work, which is fucking convenient, innit? Anyway,
Next door has a saw out, an electric saw.
morning came and we were still crossing the Russian countryside, the train moving on its slow and steady way. I spent the time talking to other passengers, hoping to find options for our next leg. I met a charming Muscovite artist, whom I quickly abandoned as knowing nothing. There was one more curious incident that day. I visited our compartment at one point to find it unlocked. Remembering the intruder I had seen previously, I immediately checked our bags to discover to my surprise that we were in fact one possession richer.
Ooh.
Someone had dropped or slipped a silver-plated cigarette case into our bag.
Ooh.
The Black Rose.
What?
The thief on the Paris train.
Yeah.
The guy was missing a silver-plated cigarette case.
Right. And they've gone and stuck it in our bag.
Yeah.
So are we going to get
We might
done
be.
for nicking it?
Maybe.
Is she trying to frame us?
It was most likely valuable, so I carefully replaced it into the bag and locked the door as I left. Finally, we pulled into the stone edifice that was Moscow Station and disembarked.
Your character is now zestful.
Pull into Moscow. We should probably explore here. Do you want to just sell that straight away, the cigarette case, just in case it gets us in any trouble?
It's worth 1,800 in Agra.
Yeah, but we're not going to Agra.
Okay.
I didn't even know where Agra is on this map. Hang on, just zoom out quickly. Agra, I believe, is actually in the Middle East.
All right, okay.
Or it might be...
Was that it down there?
What?
Down at the bottom of the Yemen.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
that's
Aden.
Aden.
Did you hear that, by the way? I know where Yemen is.
Well done.
Yeah, well,
Agra, yeah, that's like India area, so we're not going down that way, because I don't think there's a route down that way from Russia. I missed the chance to explore because I was trying to find Agra, you twat market.
me?
Sure.
Oh.
Anyway, I'm selling that straight away. You don't get a choice in this. Oh, I should probably sell the European shipping timetable since it's a bit useless now.
Well, you can sell your timetables, can you?
Yeah. Ooh. Do you want to get a top hat?
Why not? I know how much you like hats.
And we'll go for a false passport. That might be useful. Stay the night in Moscow, and then we'll embark on our long journey across Siberia.
Ooh.
And possibly leave it there. Moscow is not a comfortable city for a Frenchman. A local composer had just written a piece people were calling the 1812 Overture, commemorating the Russian victory over Napoleon's invading Grand Army that fateful year. I think it's actually pronounced as Grand Armée, but I'm not going to pronounce anything properly.
Grand.
Fuck's sake. Patriotic passions were at fever pitch. Patriotic. You've said patriotic, so
It was a mistake. It was wrong.
your mistake. But I did not let that stop me.
Imagine if I said that to you. Carry on.
It's true. From exploring the city, though I resolved to affect an English accent in the style of Monsieur Fogg, should I encounter any, I am not ashamed to admit that I have been practicing that very skill for some time, though it must be said, not in the vicinity of my master. I traversed the city on foot, keeping at the sight of patrols of uniformed policemen and Cossack troops mounted on black mechanical steeds. I ventured away from the wide boulevards and the eclectic architecture of the Tverskaya Street towards the Kremlin. Spasskaya. My Russian pronunciation is terrible. Topped by the two-headed imperial eagle loomed over the square, but my eye was drawn to the improbable onion
I thought they
domes
said onion drones.
of St. Basil's Cathedral. They were like nothing else I had ever seen. A fantasy spun into architecture. A well-meaning Chinese tourist saw my wonder and handed me a postcard with a painting of St. Basil's upon it. As the bells of the nearby church chimed the hour, I returned to our hotel, content with my brief view of the Tsar's capital city. Have we found a way forward?
I don't know.
We have not. That's the last journey I took, and I know it's possible to take that journey, but I haven't, so we need to find how to get on that journey. Explore Moscow. There we go, long Trans-Siberian Express now. We can get
That looks cool.
all the way to Vladivostok.
Sounds
on
good to
this.
me.
I took a few hours to explore investigating the various options for how we might continue our journey. we need to depart quickly, I think.
Yeah.
I can't remember when the train leaves. Go all the way to Vladivostok, because we're probably going to want to go that way. Tomorrow at 11, and it's a fairly long journey, so we'll wait that out, probably.
Okay.
So, if there's nothing to do at the market, don't think there is. Or do we want to keep the postcard? It's worth fuck all anywhere.
Yeah.
It says worth 10 in Omsk.
Are we going to Omsk?
Probably, but 10 isn't
quid.
a lot.
Yeah.
We're staying the night in a hotel again so that we can wait for the Trans-Siberian Express. He heals up whilst resting there, and we'll help the kitchen staff to clean just to earn a bit of money.
Yeah.
£59 in fees and trips, as well as overhearing from her that traders in Agra will pay far more than they should for hammers.
We're not going to Agra, though, are we?
No. Anyway, depart, and we can begin our long journey to Vladivostok.
Will we have got there by the time the next episode starts?
Possibly. We might get there in this episode, if we're lucky. The
on
long
the way.
journeys tend to be a lot quicker sort of distance-wise, because you tend to just have one event per day.
Yeah.
The bell in the stuccoed and whitewashed Moscow station gave its third and final clang, and the platform
The peasant.
erupted into frenzy. I saw peasant here, rattle peasant woman.
Okay.
Convicts in the prison cars rattled their irons and sang the Milosrdania, the exile's song of despair.
Sounds jolly.
While businessmen and prospectors in smart fur-trimmed coats slipped money to the Provdeniks to secure their compartments. I did the same, and we found ourselves in a small cabin with heated water and even a shaving mirror. We're running a bit low on money.
Yeah, maybe we should mug one of those oligarchs.
Yeah, I don't think that's an option. It says here in the paper, artificial expedition rumoured for the North Pole. We could have actually gone that way and joined that, although you're quite likely to die in that, as I have several times playing this game.
Alright, you don't earn money for doing that then.
No, but it is a lot
Bloody hell, this
quicker,
train's sped
because you're
up.
kind of cheating by going to the North Pole and then going to Iceland, and that counts as a full round trip. You can do that in 40 days if you don't die. We were away. I familiarised myself with train layout. The last two carriages were heavily guarded prison guards, and then fourth class, then third, and so on, with amenities scattered between passenger cars.
A chapel on a train.
The candlelit chapel was presided over by long-bearded Orthodox priests and full of the pious, and was positioned near the crew's quarters. I spent an hour listening to their murmured chanting and felt quite reassured. My bed that night swayed along with the motion of the train. From Moscow to Karenskaya was a journey of over 5,000 miles, and we'd only just begun. Just attend to Monsieur Fogg quickly, because it's quite cold and we want to keep him healthy. Our fellow passengers were a mix of convicts, political radicals, prospectors, businessmen, and military officers. In the midst of this was a young lady, Rosa, modestly dressed in a rich military-style jacket and fur toque.
Don't know what that is.
I made her acquaintance only too easily. She was desperate for a sympathetic ear and told me her great secret.
Oh, gossip.
She had fallen in love with a peasant boy in fourth class called Jake, by which I understood that they shared a glance of extreme passion in the baggage.
A glance. I take it they don't mean they looked at each other passionately. It's a glance as in a physical kind of...
They might be.
Like, things glance off each other.
Perhaps. Yep. Keep PG here. Nah, fuck you.
Oh, you can get into 15s now.
To be so young again, I resolved to keep an eye on the burgeoning locomotive romance.
Choo-choo!
We crossed the Volga in the early afternoon, crawling slowly over a bridge perched on high stone pillars. The devout Russians stood and crossed themselves while looking out over the water. I could just hear the lilting, rhythmic, oar-beating songs of the Volga boatmen over the whistle of the steamboats. You don't have to make sound effects for everything.
I don't have to, but it's far more enjoyable if I do.
For you.
Yeah.
Not for anyone else.
Well, I'm here to enjoy myself. And annoy you.
Anyway, we are coming into Ekaterinburg, but we'll just pass on by.
Okay.
We crossed the Urals today. At the risk of sounding like a jaded traveller, I must admit that they were hardly magnificent. A heaving up of earth and forested hills for a few hundred miles, we stopped for an hour at Ekaterinburg, where I
watched a Dad vs. the World episode.
joined lively cavalry officers as they ate smoked fish and played music to accompany their repast. One of them enjoined me to play his balalaika, a kind of triangular mandolin. I accepted eagerly and strummed a few notes to familiarise myself with the unaccustomed instrument. Once happy with its function, I played a familiar favourite.
Thank goodness.
Yip I Addy, a song about a musical fellow called Herman von Bello who was possessed of a rather sizable cello. Our choruses of yips and eyes rather alarmed some of our fellow diners, and I was treated to some colourful local lyrical variations which cast a new light on Herman von Bello's prodigious talents. The officers were so pleased by my performance that they very generously made me a gift of that very same balalaika. I cannot wait to play it for Monsieur Fogg.
I'm sure he'll be delighted.
We'll help him. Yep.
Oh, you are most entertaining, Passepartout.
He's not French.
No, I was trying not to be.
Time on board trains takes on a meditative quality. I keep stundling. I'm terrible with words today. This is the most terrible video to record when I just can't speak.
Yeah, it's going to be the worst to edit as well.
Yes. Especially as it gets increasingly long. We'll get about halfway across this journey, I think, and then end this part.
Go on then.
Time on board trains takes on a meditative quality. I dance like a Kazakh in the dining car, having consumed an indiscreet quantity of vodka. The Kazakh soldiers cheered me on mercilessly and placed a fox fur cap on my head when I finally collapsed to the floor in exhaustion. I thanked them weakly, unable to muster any great reserves of courtesy. They laughed good-naturedly at my incapacity.
You are an able dancer, Passepartout.
They are Kazakh, sort of Russian accent. Can you do a Russian accent? I think I can. You are an able... No. Fucking hell.
This is why I didn't even try.
You are an able dancer, Passepartout. I'm alright at a Russian accent, fuck you.
Normally.
It's better than your German and French accents.
My French wasn't bad.
Yes, it was.
It might have been cliched, but it wasn't bad.
They pronounced and helped me back to my carriage. Much ribald mockery. We're getting a bunch of gifts here that we can just sell.
Oh, that's kind. Who from?
Well, the Kazakh soldiers gave us a gift, and the soldiers that we sang for gave us the balalaika.
Didn't we have something we could sell in Omsk?
That was the postcard, but that was pretty much worthless anyway.
Yeah.
Omsk today we decanted. We're not decanting ourselves onto platform, so we'll decant a full score of British, Dutch and German merchants, and took on more military officers who cleared an entire first-class carriage for the use of a mysterious couple.
Ooh.
I caught a brief glimpse of the woman or man, or both.
Yeah. Them. Yeah.
Okay, them, but lost interest quickly. However, well-off one is there are always those doing much better. Quickly.
Unless you're Elon Musk.
Well, I think there are people doing much better than Elon Musk.
Who's the richest person in the world?
Bill Gates.
Is it?
Yes.
Is he number one?
Although there are some people that... no, I think he is quite far ahead. Several billions, probably. This morning I played a tune on the balalaika to rouse Monsieur Fogg from his sleep, rather like an armly bugler. He awoke with an uncharacteristic rapidity, but was rather out of sorts till early afternoon.
I'm not bloody surprised.
I hope he is not taking ill with
I think I might try that tomorrow. Come in with a ukulele or something.
As the sun set over the Tiger, Monsieur Fogg expressed a mild boredom with the monotonous view from the carriage windows. My own rather more dire feelings may be extrapolated from this foggish understatement. At some point during events, someone bumped into me where I later checked my pockets. I found a note. In one corner was an ink doodle of a black flower. The black rose again. The message was short. I saw you needed some assistance. RX. Inside the paper, a small stone was wrapped. It was no simple pebble. I lifted the gem to the light and gasped as it shimmered with a deep blue luster. The jewel was clearly worth hundreds, if not thousands, and should we be found with it, we would surely be arrested.
Sell it.
Well, shouldn't we get arrested then? We acquire...
Well, how do we get rid of it then if we can't sell it? We don't want to be found with it, do
keep it in our... Well, sure, sell it then.
Well, depends. We don't want to... We want to get a good
probably
price.
best not to sell it in Russia.
Should we not try and find out how it got there?
Ooh, here's some news. Experimental hovercraft to launch from Yokohama soon.
Ooh, they're quite fast, aren't they? Hovercrafts.
Hopefully.
Well, if it's experimental, it might sink.
I believe that is going to Honolulu. That might be useful.
Yeah, get my grass skirt out.
Because I don't believe there's a journey over the Pacific from Vladivostok in this game. We're heading into Irkutsk. We crossed the halfway mark of our journey today. In the morning, we wound up on the Angara Valley towards the mining camp of Irkutsk, the great city of Siberia, where some passengers were leaving to join routes south into Mongolia. We're not travelling in that direction. Why would anyone travel in that direction? I could not fathom. The Russian wilderness was desolate, but at least the train was fast. Mongolia was a desert made twice as wide by the slow animal pace of a horse's tread. Our journey continued, and by afternoon we had reached the magnificent expanse of Lake Baikal, as clear as the finest crystal, bounded by flower-banked cliffs on the western shore and containing a thriving, raucous population of freshwater seagulls. The track ended at the lake's edge, but the great train showed no signs of slowing or stopping. I began to feel, as my master would say, a little perturbed. Now, my friends, this next sentence will seem to you the invention of a madman, but
Could have left that as a cliffhanger.
But I assure you it is utter unvarnished truth. We drove straight from the shore into the clear water of the lake, causing barely a ripple. I looked out the compartment window and saw the wheels pulled up, and Zutalor's, the train was hovering in the air through some unseen mechanism.
Great Scott!
I stayed in our carriage in the hold for the duration of the crossing and had the singularly odd misfortune of experiencing seasickness in a locomotive. I contrived a meeting with the mysterious couple, though to be strictly accurate, I knocked over the red-haired woman entirely accidentally. She was very game about the whole unfortunate incident and introduced herself as Madame Ksenia Petrovna Volkova. I apologised profusely, to the point where she clearly felt rather sorry for me and invited me back to her heavily guarded carriage.
As you do.
A companion turned out to be an engineer by the name of Sinan Yehudi, who seemed lonely and eager to converse in any language other than Russian. He had defected from the Ottoman Sultans to the Russian Tsars some years ago. He was the genius behind the rapid construction of the Trans-Siberian Railway. He seemed reluctant to talk of it. And so I changed the subject, we don't want to be rude, to lighter topics. He had a particular fascination with minerals and could hold forth on them for hours. I feigned interest with enough authenticity that he embraced me like a long-lost brother at the end of our discourse. He rummaged in his bags and presented me with a chunk of glittering green malachite. We're acquiring a lot of gifts.
This was mined in the Urals. I want you to have it, Passepartout.
Russian accent. No, actually Turkish accent, if you can do that.
No.
Because he defected
It has some value. I hope it will be of use to you.
That's a Yorkshire accent.
No, it's not. But
it sounds more Yorkshire than Turkish.
I'll admit that, yes.
The hour grew late and I took my leave. Madame Volkova thanked me for entertaining her companion and warned me to say nothing of what Monsieur Yehudi had told me to anyone, with a smile that belied a light-hearted tongue. A strange day.
Strange indeed.
The character is now suave.
Suave again? I thought we were suave already.
It changes.
Okay.
10 to Monster Fog. We should probably be wrapping up soon.
Okay.
Do you want to get to Vladivostok and then stop? It won't be that long, I don't think.
Go on then.
There is little to report of the outside world, so a word today on Russian eating habits, more specifically the Russian distaste for regular meal times. I met a Frenchman today who said to me,
The Russian meal is a guide to the Russian character.
I begged him to explain further, and he obliged me.
The guiding principle of the national cuisine is that all dishes must be capable of being served at any time the eater feels disposed. He sacrifices his finer susceptibilities to his love of freedom.
I resolved to keep this thought in mind on future approaches to the dining car. If our locomotive suppers are not triumphs of culinary art, they are at least signal examples of logistical achievement. Train journey should be fast enough to Vladivostok if we're going at a reasonable pace. Literally the newspaper says Fog Valet Dapper field report. It's a weird headline.
Does that mean we're not suave anymore? We're now dapper?
No.
Well, you are anyway. I'm just... Fog doesn't seem to be doing much. He's just kind of sitting there
Yeah, that's what aristocrats do. We pulled into Karamskaya at noon. From Karamskaya, it was possible to branch onto the Chinese Eastern Railway to Beijing, but we had to go further with the Trans-Siberian. Rosa's mama interrupted the peace of our luncheon with a loud and terrible wail. Apparently, Rosa had eloped with her peasant lover Jake at Karamskaya, leaving her mother to appease her irate German fiancé. I bought the fellow a drink, as he seemed in dire need of it. He's German, so...
I do not understand.
He raged.
I could have given her everything.
But the human heart, monsieur, I demurred. It is a strange beast.
I could have given her the world. I am in ships, monsieur. Airships are popular, but freight ships will be the cornerstone of the new world.
Console yourself with that, monsieur, I advised. He agreed dully, and bought another round of brandies, which I was disinclined to refuse. I swayed my way back to the carriage, flush in the knowledge that I had performed a great kindness. Anyway, we found a new route to Beijing, but we're not going that way anyway. It's only a short little trip to Vladivostok.
Okay.
And I shall not burden you too much with the edit. Black Rose on the move across Europe. We can tell that because we've been getting little messages from her. Monsieur Fogg conceived of a desire to read an English newspaper in the morning, so I resolved to track one down to make my master's journey more comfortable. It was not a simple matter, however, as most English periodicals were banned or heavily censored by the Tsarist. I prevailed upon Madame Volkova, who was only too happy to furnish me with the required materials, which I pressed and then presented to my master with a flourish that evening.
Relations with Fogg are strengthening.
If your relations with Fogg strengthen, that means every time you attend to his needs, you will give him more health.
Ah, okay.
I have actually seen it where if your relations get so bad, when you try to attend to him, you will hurt him.
Can he die?
He can. We reached Ussurisk today. Vladivostok, the final destination on the Trans-Siberian Railway, is accessible only to military officials and those with special dispensation. Being neither...
Bribe him.
We bribed the province with £200 to let us stay on the train beyond our permits. The attendant was an understanding sort of chap, but he nonetheless took a hefty sum to ensure our passage.
We're going to need some funds.
Yeah, because 790 is not enough to get across the Pacific, I don't
Oh,
think.
right, okay.
Vladivostok beleaguered by piracy increase.
Have we got anything we can sell to pirates? Or can we perhaps become pirates for a short while to get some money?
Well, from the sound of it, Vladivostok is a military city. Meaning a couple of our, let us say, questionable items might be somewhat...
dangerous to us.
Yes. We probably should have sold them earlier. We disembarked at Vladivostok among crowds of uniformed soldiers, officers and soldiers, sorry. We had travelled over 5,500 miles across the spine of the Trans-Siberian, which covered 1/3 of the Earth's circumference.
Oh, we're a third of the way there then.
More than a third, because we travelled a bit across Europe anyway.
Cool.
My nerves would jangle, but Monsieur Fogg had barely stepped onto the platform before he was already plotting the next leg of our journey. And with that, I believe we should probably stop off there.
Yeah.
Next time we will try and journey across the Pacific and possibly across America or South America, and then we might not even need a third part to get over back to London.
Really?
Although the next part might be shorter. Anyway.
Looking forward to editing this one.
Yes. I'll just click to stay the night so that the time pauses and leave you there. Anyway, I have been Firebolt.
And I've been the Orbiter.
And this has been 80 Days Part 1.
Au revoir.
See you in the Pacific. Thanks for watching. We'd really appreciate if you support us on various things, obviously subscribing on YouTube, Twitch, following us on Twitter or Facebook. We have a Discord server that you can join and talk to us and other people, and a website where you can check out blog posts.
And obviously this isn't free for us to run, so if you'd like to support us financially, we have a Patreon page where you can donate monthly and get subscriber rewards. We also have a Stream Elements tipping page where you can make one-off donations. The links are all in the description.
Farewell.
See you next time.